Hey everybody, it's Anna and welcome back to my booktube channel. Today's video is another Top 5 Wednesday. Da, 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 da. Yeah, I guess I do that song now when it's time for that. So if you're new to Top 5 Wednesday, I will go ahead and link the Goodreads group down below so you can find out more about that. We are still doing our Top 5 Wednesday Rewind theme, where we can choose from past topics, and this week I decided to go with a topic that was from July 2015, and that was my most anticipated pre-orders. So I tried to keep this to kind of a condensed list, but it's going to end up being more than 5 because clearly I'm anticipating more than 5 books this year, and by the time this video posts, one of them will actually have come out. So let's go ahead and get into the books, shall we? So the first pre-order that I'm anticipating, and I just have my notes pulled up on my phone, is the book Nothing Happened by Molly Booth, which is coming out on May 15th, 2018. It is the story about It is a modern-day, retelling of Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing from the perspective of, queer girls at a summer camp together, and those are all things that are super amazingly fun to me. I loved Molly Booth's first book, which was called Saving Hamlet, so I will read anything she writes from here on out. Let's see. Next book that I'm super excited for is The Brightsiders by Jen Wilde. That is going to be coming out on May 22nd, 2018. I was really enamored of Jen Wilde's earlier book, The Queens of Geek, which I talked about in my last week's Top 5 Wednesday. It was a best book of 2017 for me. And The Brightsiders is not related, but still very much deals with a lot of the themes of coming of age and bisexual representation and stuff like that. So I'll go ahead and read you a little bit of the blurb here. It's about a teen rock star who has to navigate family, love, coming out, and life in the spotlight after being labeled the latest celebrity train wreck. So yeah, it's basically just a story about, falling in love and being a musician and stuff like that. And because it's written by Jen Wilde, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna love it. So excited for that. Okie doke. Next one I'm super excited for, and that is Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. That comes out on July 10th, 2018. Naomi Novik was the author of Uprooted and also the His Majesty's Dragon, also known as the Temeraire series, which is about the Napoleonic Wars but with dragons. I read and loved Uprooted last year while I was in the midst of moving across the country, and that was a super rock-solid book to help me get through a really stressful time. I believe Spinning Silver is her take on the Rumpelstiltskin fairy tale, which is one of my favorite fairy tales of all time because it's weird and creepy and there's a little old man stealing stuff. Yeah, that just fits with my personality so well. I can't wait for that. I'm really excited to read that. I think that's going to be great. Also excited to read On the Comeup by Angie Thomas, which is going to be coming out on February 5th, 2019. Angie Thomas is the author of The Hate You Give last year, and this is... Let's see, I'll go ahead and read you a little bit of the blurb for this. So, 16-year-old Brie wants to be one of the greatest rappers of all time, or at least get some streams on her mixtape. As the daughter of an underground rap legend who died right before he hit big, Brie's got massive shoes to fill. But when her mom unexpectedly loses her job, food banks and shut-off notices become as much a part of her life as beats and rhymes. With bills piling up and homelessness staring her family down, Brie no longer just wants to make it. She has to make it. On the Come Up is Angie Thomas's homage to hip-hop, the art that sparked her passion for storytelling and continues to inspire her to this day. It is the story of fighting for your dreams, even as the odds are stacked against you, of the struggle to become who you are and not who everyone expects you to be, and of the desperate realities of poor and working class Black families. So I really liked the first book that Angie Thomas ever wrote. Really happy it's being made into a movie, and so yeah, I'll read pretty much anything she writes from here on out. I also think that in YA in particular, we suffer from kind of a lack of protagonists who are not middle or upper class. At least in YA contemporaries. I get that there's a common conceit in fantasy that the protagonist is going to be kind of scrappy and poor or whatever, but we don't. Okay, next book I'm super excited for is The King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo, which I believe I brought up in my last week's Top 5 Wednesday as well, because I wanted to reread Six of Crows before this book comes out. So I have plenty of time. The book is not coming out till January 29th, 2019, and it is going to be the first book in a duology that is about Nikolai, who is kind of like the young Tsar in the Grisha series, and who shows up again in Six of Crows, and who I really enjoy because he's very funny and kind of like a slippery, tricksy trickster kind of a dude, and I am looking forward to that. Okay, next up is Heretics Anonymous by Katie Henry, and that's going to be coming out on August 2nd, 2018. I don't remember where I heard about this book for the first time, but let me go ahead and read you the blurb to give you an idea of what it's about. So, when Michael walks through the doors of Catholic school, things can't get much worse. His dad has just made the family move again, and Michael needs a friend. When a girl challenges their teacher in class, Michael thinks he might have found one, and a fellow atheist at that. Only this girl, Lucy, isn't just Catholic, she wants to be a priest. Lucy introduces Michael to other St. Clair's outcasts, and he officially joins Heretics Anonymous, where he can be an atheist, Lucy can be an outspoken feminist, Avi can be Jewish and gay, Max can wear whatever he wants, and Eden can practice paganism. Michael encourages the heretics to go from secret society to rebels intent on exposing the school's hypocrisies one stunt at a time. But when Michael takes one mission too far, putting the other heretics at risk, he must decide whether to fight for his own freedom or rely on faith, whatever that means, in God, his friends, or himself. Okay, so any type of like subversion of the classic Catholic school experience is straight up my alley. I did go to Catholic school for a bit growing up, not the entirety of my education. But yeah, definitely as someone who does not like fit the mold of what the Catholic Church really deems to be acceptable, at least in terms of like the mainstream theology, yeah, I like to read books about like that sort of subversion of expectations of what religion says that people can and can't be. Yes, the novelization of Alice Isn't Dead by Joseph Fink is going to be coming out on October 30th, 2018. This is based off of a podcast that started out as part of the like Welcome to Night Vale family of podcasts, and it is basically an American Gothic horror, I guess, that takes place as kind of a road trip story and a long-distance trekking type of story, and this is supposed to reimagine the story that the podcast tells in a completely new way from the ground up. So yeah, I went and pre-ordered that. Ooh, also, Lumberjanes Volume 9 is coming out on July 24th. So I don't really need to say anything more about that because, you know, I just really like it. Okay. Let's see. Next book that I'm excited for is called Sea Witch by Sarah Henning, and that is going to be coming out on July 31st, 2018. I think I first heard about this over on Ariel Bassett's channel, but since then it's been showing up in like ads and podcast advertisements and things like that, so the internet just really wants me to read this book, okay? And the description is basically like Wicked meets The Little Mermaid in the captivating origin story of the sea's most iconic villainess. So it's a story of the Sea Witch from The Little Mermaid, who is one of my favorite characters in like fiction in general, and also like one of my top 3 Disney villains, which are Ursula, Jafar, and Maleficent. Fight me. You will lose. Next book that I'm excited for, I do remember that I heard about this over on Ariel's channel because I don't remember how I know that, I just remember it. And it is called Toil and Trouble, 15 Tales of Women in Witchcraft. It is a young adults short story collection that's going to be coming out on August 28th, 2018, just in time for Halloween. And basically, it is 15 stories of girls embracing their power, reclaiming their destinies, and using their magic to create, to curse, to cure, and to kill. This collection reveals a universal truth. There's nothing more powerful than a teenage girl who believes in herself. Which just makes me think of Teen Girl Squad. Enough said. Comment if you actually get what that is. Okay, and last but not least... The final pre-order that is on the list that I am most excited for is The Descent of Monsters, which is the new book in the Tensorate series by J.Y. Yang. and that book is going to be released on July 31st, 2018. So you've heard me talk this series to death all over my YouTube channel. I love J.Y. Yang's work. I love them on Twitter. I love them pretty much everywhere. Like, they can do no wrong when it comes to writing fantasy. So I will go ahead and read a little bit of the blurb as well. Something terrible has happened at the Ruar Tang Institute of Experimental Methods. When the Tenserate's investigators arrived, they found a sea of blood and bones as far as the eye could see. One of the Institute's experiments got loose, and its rage left no survivors. The investigators returned to the capital with few clues and 2 prisoners, the terrorist leaders Sanao Akeha and a companion known only as Ryder. Investigator Chuan faces a puzzle. What really happened at the Institute? What drew the machinists there? What are her superiors trying to cover up? And why does she feel as if her strange dreams are forcing her down a narrowing path she cannot escape? Well, knowing how much I enjoyed the first 2 books in this series just means that I don't even really have to know what this one is about, which I guess is kind of the point of this whole topic. So, anyway, after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 10, 11 books later, that is going to just about wrap it up for this week's Top 5 Wednesday. Please do let me know by leaving a comment downstairs what books you are excited to pre-order or read and have as upcoming releases in the rest of 2018 going into the new year. I just think that there's something that's so exciting about marching down to your bookstore or clicking that pre-order button online to make sure that you get that. It's like a little happy book Christmas, and I'd really like to discuss some of that with you guys. So, thank you all so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye.